She was the sex symbol who turned down Dynasty, walked off her own TV show, and openly dated married men. Now, at 93, Angie Dickinson is dropping the final bombshell about what really happened with Frank Sinatra, the devastating truth about her daughter's death, and the 7 minutes with JFK she called the most exciting of her life. After 6 decades of rumors, Hollywood's bad girl is finally confessing. Angie Dickinson was born Angeline Brown on September 30th, 1931, in Comin, North Dakota. She was the second of 3 daughters in a family of German descent. Her father, Leo Henry Brown, owned 2 newspapers and worked as the projectionist at the only movie theater in town. That theater became Angie's escape, filling her childhood with stories from the silver screen. When a fire destroyed it, her love for movies only grew stronger. In 1942, when she was 10, her family moved to Burbank, California. Living near Hollywood brought new opportunities, but she stayed focused on her studies. She attended Bellarmine Jefferson High School and graduated at just 15 in 1947. A year before finishing school, she won the 6th Annual Bill of Rights Essay Contest, showing early talent for writing. Her younger sister Janet won the same contest 2 years later, proving that ambition ran in the family. After high school, Angie set her sights on a career in business. She worked as a secretary at Lockheed Air Terminal while attending Glendale Community College and later Immaculate Heart College. She earned a business degree in 1954 and planned to follow in her father's footsteps as a writer. Hollywood was close, but it still felt like another world. That changed in 1953 when she entered a local Miss America preliminary pageant at the last minute and placed second. That unexpected success led to another contest, this time sponsored by NBC. She became one of 5 winners and soon appeared on television variety shows like The Jimmy Durante Show. At first, she saw these opportunities as a temporary detour, but casting agents saw something in her and acting offers started coming in. Angie Dickinson's journey to Hollywood started with small roles that slowly built her reputation. Her first major break came on New Year's Eve in 1954 when she appeared in an episode of Death Valley Days. That single role opened the door to a steady stream of television work. She became a familiar face in anthology series and westerns, landing parts in matinee theater, The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, Broken Arrow, and Perry Mason. One of her most important early roles came on The Colgate Comedy Hour, where she met Frank Sinatra. That connection would change both her career and personal life. Around the same time, she played Rose Daggett in the Gunsmoke episode Sins of the Father. She was credited as Angie Dixon, but her performance made an impact. By the late 1950s, she had appeared in The Fugitive, Cheyenne, Wagon Train, and The Virginian, proving she could adapt to any role. Her friendship with Sinatra started in the mid-1950s when they met on The Jimmy Durante Show. At the time, she was a rising actress, and he was already a star. He was instantly taken by her charm, and she admired his confidence. Their bond grew stronger when she played his wife in Ocean's 11 in 1960. They had little screen time together, but off-camera, their friendship flourished. Sinatra called her one of the Rat Pack gals, a rare honor for any woman in his circle. Dickinson later said Sinatra was the love of her life, though their relationship remained mostly platonic. He introduced her to powerful people in Hollywood, supported her career, and gave her advice whenever she needed it. Their friendship lasted until Sinatra's death in 1998. Looking back, she credited him with teaching her how to handle fame and navigate the industry. Her breakout role came in 1959 when Howard Hawks cast her as Feathers in Rio Bravo. She starred alongside John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson, playing a strong-willed gambler who develops a romance with Wayne's sheriff character. Unlike most women in westerns at the time, Feathers wasn't just a love interest. She was smart, independent, and unafraid to challenge the men around her. Hawks was impressed by her screen test and believed she could hold her own alongside Hollywood legends. He was right. The chemistry between the cast helped make Rio Bravo a classic. Dickinson formed a lasting friendship with John Wayne, calling him adorable and a true gentleman. She also admired Dean Martin's easygoing nature. The film became one of the most celebrated westerns of all time and was selected for preservation by the Library of Congress in 2014. Despite the success of Rio Bravo, Dickinson struggled to find roles that matched her talent. Howard Hawks sold her contract to Warner Brothers, which kept her working but also limited her opportunities. She played Sinatra's estranged wife in Ocean's 11 in 1960, which strengthened her connection to the Rat Pack, but did little to move her career forward. In 1964, she starred in The Killers as Sheila Farr, a classic femme fatale who used manipulation to get what she wanted. The film was a success, but it reinforced Hollywood's tendency to typecast her as the glamorous seductress. Dickinson grew frustrated with Warner Brothers, feeling they focused more on her looks than her acting abilities. She refused to let that define her career. By the mid-1960s, she started seeking out roles that went beyond the typical Hollywood mold. Her determination paid off in the 1970s when she landed the lead in Police Woman, which ran from 1974 to 1978. When Police Woman premiered on September 13, 1974, Angie Dickinson made television history. She became the first woman to lead a successful American police drama, playing Sergeant Pepper Anderson, an undercover officer in the LAPD's Criminal Conspiracy Unit. Each episode saw her taking on different disguises, sometimes a nurse, sometimes a flight attendant, always working to bring down criminals. Over 4 seasons and 91 episodes, she proved that a woman could command a tough, action-packed series. Audiences loved her. Critics did too. She earned 3 Primetime Emmy nominations and won a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Drama Series. Even President Gerald Ford was reportedly a fan. Some say he once rescheduled a press conference just so he wouldn't miss an episode. But the show's impact stretched far beyond entertainment. It arrived during the feminist movement of the 1970s, a time when women were fighting for more opportunities in the workplace. Dickinson's character showed that women could succeed in law enforcement, a field that had long been dominated by men. The effect was real. In 1971, women made up just 1.4% of police officers in the United States. By the end of the decade, that number had risen to 5%. Many of these women said they joined the force after watching Police Woman. Even the LAPD noticed a rise in young women asking about police careers. NBC received letters from fans who had never considered law enforcement before, but now believed they could do the job. Part of what made Dickinson's role so groundbreaking was the way she played it. Hollywood often reduced women to either glamorous sex symbols or nurturing figures, but she broke that mold. Her character was smart, fearless, and independent. She sometimes used her charm as part of undercover missions, posing as a dancer or waitress to get close to criminals, but she always stayed in control. Her performance helped pave the way for future shows like Cagney and Lacey, The Bionic Woman, and Law and Order, SVU. But the job was demanding. Leading an hour-long drama meant long, grueling days on set. Dickinson later admitted that the workload left her physically and emotionally drained. She had hesitated to take the role at first, knowing how intense it would be, but producers convinced her it was worth it. She pushed through the exhaustion, staying professional and committed to the show. Not everyone was happy with Policewoman. Some feminist groups criticized certain aspects, like how Pepper Anderson sometimes used her looks to blend in during missions. This led to changes in later seasons, but some felt the toned-down approach weakened the character's original appeal. There were also challenges behind the scenes. The network kept shifting the show's time slot, making it harder for viewers to keep up. Ratings dropped, and after 4 seasons, Policewoman was canceled in 1978. Even with these struggles, Dickinson remained proud of what she had accomplished. She had helped change the way women were portrayed on television. She had inspired real-life police officers, and she had proven that a woman could carry a primetime action series, something that had never been done before. Angie Dickinson's life was filled with love, heartbreak, and stories that kept Hollywood buzzing for decades. She wasn't just a talented actress, she was a woman who lived boldly, caught the attention of powerful men, and never let scandal define her. In 1952, she married Gene Dickinson, a quiet and good-looking football player from Glendale College. At the time, she was still an aspiring actress, and their marriage gave her a way out of a difficult home life. Her father was an alcoholic, and she wanted something different. For a while, things were good, but as Angie's career grew, their relationship started to fade. By the time she landed her breakthrough role in Rio Bravo in 1959, their lives were moving in different directions. Rumors of infidelity surrounded their marriage. Some believed she was already involved with Frank Sinatra, though she never confirmed it. Despite everything, she always spoke highly of Gene, calling him a grand guy, and admitting that ending their marriage was one of the hardest things she ever did. Even after they divorced in 1960, they stayed on friendly terms. In a strange twist, Gene and his new partner even went on a camping trip with Angie. After the divorce, her world became even more glamorous. She was now part of Hollywood's elite, and one man in particular kept coming back into her life: Frank Sinatra. Their relationship started in 1953 when his bodyguard introduced them after she appeared on the Colgate comedy Hour. Even though she was still married, she gave Sinatra her number, and that small moment turned into something that lasted nearly 20 years. Their chemistry was undeniable. It showed on screen when she played his wife in Ocean's 11 in 1960, and it was even stronger behind the scenes. By 1964, they got close to marriage, but neither of them followed through. Angie later said she didn't want him to propose because she wasn't sure she could say yes. Sinatra had his own doubts. He had been married to actresses before, and he didn't want to go through that again. Despite their differences, Angie always called Sinatra the most charismatic man she had ever met. He loved late nights, parties, and being surrounded by people. She preferred a quieter life. In the end, that's what kept them from staying together, but they remained close until his death in 1998. Then came the rumors about John F. Kennedy. People talked about an affair for years, though Angie always denied it. Some believed they had private meetings in Palm Springs. Others said he left his own inauguration ball in 1961 to meet her in secret. The most famous story came from author Christopher Anderson, who claimed Angie once said intimacy with JFK was the most exciting 7 minutes of her life. She never confirmed or denied that quote, but she did admit she found him incredibly attractive. What fueled the rumors even more was her strong support for JFK's presidential campaign. She had deep connections in Hollywood, and Sinatra was already known to be close to the Kennedys. Whether anything actually happened, no one could say for sure, but the speculation never went away. In 1965, she married Burt Bacharach, one of the most successful composers of the time. Their marriage looked perfect from the outside, but it was troubled from the start. Less than a year in, Burt started cheating. He even considered divorce until he found out Angie was pregnant. Their daughter, Nikki, was born in 1967, weighing just 1 pound, 10 ounces. For the first 3 months of her life, she stayed in an incubator, untouched by her parents because of strict medical rules. She survived, but the challenges never stopped. Nikki developed vision problems and struggled with delayed speech. She didn't speak until she was 3. As she grew older, her behavior became harder to understand. She hoarded objects obsessively, collecting everything from broken glass to dog excrement. Loud noises overwhelmed her, and everyday life seemed too much to handle. For decades, no one had answers. Then in 2000, a Newsweek article changed everything. Nikki's parents learned about Asperger's syndrome, a condition on the autism spectrum that explained everything she had been struggling with. By then, she was in her 30s. She had always been incredibly smart. She studied geology at California Lutheran University and excelled academically, but poor eyesight and sensory sensitivities made it impossible to work in the field. No matter how hard she tried, life remained overwhelming. On January 4, 2007, at the age of 40, Nikki ended her life by suffocation in her apartment in Thousand Oaks. She left a note for her father, revealing how much pain she had been carrying. Her death devastated both of her parents. Angie Dickinson had always described Nikki as her soulmate. She had given up major acting roles during her career to care for her daughter. Even while starring in Policewoman, she refused to work overtime so she could be there for Nikki. After the Asperger's diagnosis, she finally understood why her daughter had struggled so much, but the realization came too late. In their last years together, Angie and Nikki traveled often, finding comfort in quiet places like Tahiti. After Nikki was gone, Angie spoke openly about her grief. She had spent decades trying to protect her daughter from a world that seemed too difficult for her. Now she lived with the weight of everything she couldn't fix. She still calls Nikki a wonderful gift and holds on to the love they shared, even as she moves through life alone in Beverly Hills. But this was not the only heartbreak Angie faced. Her marriage to Burt Bacharach, once the image of Hollywood glamour, was filled with betrayal. They married in 1965, but problems started early. In his memoir, Burt admitted that just 9 months into their marriage, he was already thinking about divorce. Angie later discovered his first affair through the newspapers. It was only the beginning. Burt's infidelities continued, and Angie struggled to accept the truth. She later admitted that as long as she didn't see it happening, it was easier to pretend it wasn't real. But the pain never really went away. Raising Nikki added to the strain. Angie was the one who stayed home, who carried most of the responsibility, while Burt focused on his career. By 1976, their marriage had fallen apart. The divorce became official in 1981. Looking back, Angie called it both wonderful and heartbreaking. She had loved Burt deeply, but his inability to truly commit left lasting scars. Burt later admitted to regrets, not just about their marriage, but also about his role as a father. He knew his choices had hurt the people closest to him, but time changes things. In recent years, Angie has spoken kindly about him, showing that love, even when it's painful, never completely fades. Angie Dickinson never played by Hollywood's rules. She built her career on bold choices that made her a star, but also stirred controversy. Some roles brought her awards. Others sparked protests. Through it all, she stayed true to herself. In 1980, she took on one of her most daring roles in Dressed to Kill. She played Kate Miller, a lonely housewife searching for passion. After a brief affair, her character is brutally murdered. setting off a tense thriller. The film was a hit, making $31.9 million at the box office on a modest budget. Critics praised Dickinson's performance. She even won a Saturn Award for Best Actress. But, outside theaters, the reaction was different. Feminist groups protested, calling the film sexist and violent. They argued that it punished women for embracing their sexuality. Some also took issue with the villain, a psychiatrist with dissociative identities, one of whom was a closeted trans woman. Many believed this reinforced harmful stereotypes linking gender identity to violence. Dickinson herself had mixed feelings about parts of the film. One of the most famous scenes, a steamy shower sequence, wasn't actually her. She wasn't comfortable with full nudity, so director Brian De Palma used a body double, model Victoria Johnson. Some felt the decision was misleading, but for Dickinson, it was a necessary limit. That same year, she tried something unexpected, a sitcom. The Angie Dickinson Show, produced by Johnny Carson, was meant to show a new side of her. But after filming just 2 episodes, she backed out. Comedy didn't feel right to her, and she wasn't willing to fake it. Many actors hold on to projects for visibility, but Dickinson wasn't afraid to walk away when something didn't fit. She spent decades making sure she wasn't just seen as a sex symbol. She played powerful women, like Sergeant Pepper Anderson in Police Woman, a role that made her a household name from 1974 to 1978. But she also took on complex characters that challenged expectations, like the seductive teacher in Pretty Maids All in a Row in 1971. She also had no problem turning down major roles. When producers of Dynasty offered her the part of Crystal Carrington, she said no. Instead of chasing mainstream success, she focused on projects she believed in. She also stepped back to spend time with her daughter. Hollywood often pushes actresses aside after 40, but Dickinson stayed in control of her career. She knew when to take risks and when to walk away. Angie Dickinson and Johnny Carson had a connection that kept audiences entertained for years. Every time she appeared on The Tonight Show, their flirtatious banter stole the spotlight. People speculated about whether their chemistry was more than just an on-air act. Dickinson later confirmed that they did date for a short time in 1983. But whatever romance they had quickly turned into a friendship that lasted for years. Carson had a way of making any conversation feel natural and electric. His interactions with Dickinson were no different. Their exchanges were filled with teasing and playful innuendo, making it easy for fans to believe there was something real between them. Dickinson admitted she always found him attractive, but she was clear that their connection was built more on respect and companionship than passion. In 1983, Carson was going through a difficult time in his personal life. He had separated from his third wife, Joanna Holland, adding another layer of intrigue to his brief relationship with Dickinson. Carson, married 4 times, had a reputation for being both charming and complicated. His time with Dickinson stood out because it blurred the line between professional camaraderie and something more personal. Beyond the speculation, Dickinson's appearances on The Tonight Show helped shape her public image. She became known as the thinking man's sex symbol, a woman who could match Carson's quick wit while maintaining an air of effortless glamour. Though the rumors never fully faded, Dickinson has always been open about the fact that their romance was brief. What lasted was a deep friendship, one that remained long after the romantic spark had faded. In 1960, Dickinson starred alongside Richard Burton in The Bramble Bush, a drama about moral dilemmas in a small town. On screen, their chemistry was undeniable. Off-screen, their interactions sparked just as much interest. Burton had a reputation as a womanizer, and many believed he had a brief romance with Dickinson during filming. Dickinson later described him as a dangerous fella, someone with an undeniable pull. At the time, Burton was already gaining a name for himself as a man whose personal life was as dramatic as his acting. His most famous relationship was still to come, his legendary love affair with Elizabeth Taylor. But even before that, he was known for getting close to his co-stars. Rumors about Dickinson and Burton's connection were only made more intriguing by the fact that he was married to Sybil Williams at the time. The themes of The Bramble Bush, which explored infidelity and difficult moral choices, only added fuel to the speculation. Though neither of them ever confirmed a romance, their time together became a lasting piece of Hollywood gossip. Dickinson later said working with Burton was both exciting and overwhelming. His larger-than-life personality could be intoxicating, but also exhausting. Whatever may have happened between them, their brief connection remains one of the many fascinating moments in Hollywood history. Then there's the most bizarre story linked to Dickinson, the one involving baseball legend Mickey Mantle. This tale has been repeated in gossip columns and celebrity books for years, making it one of the strangest rumors about her life. According to multiple accounts, Mantle and Dickinson went on a date that ended in disaster. The story claims that Mantle, heavily intoxicated, vomited during an intimate moment with her. This alleged incident has been written about in books like Gatecrasher by Ben Widdicombe and has been whispered about in Hollywood ever since. Dickinson has never commented on it, leaving the truth up for debate. Mantle, known for his hard-partying lifestyle and infidelity, had a long history of reckless behavior. If the story is true, it's just one of many incidents that defined his troubled personal life. Angie Dickinson has always spoken her mind. Even in her 90s, she isn't afraid to challenge popular opinions. One of her most controversial moments in recent years came when she criticized the hashtag #MeToo movement. She believed it had been exaggerated and that some accusations were blown out of proportion. She put it bluntly in an interview, saying, "An open robe is not a rape." That statement alone sparked outrage. Dickinson rose to fame in the 1950s and 1960s, a time when young actresses were often exploited. She called it slave labor, describing how studios treated women as commodities. But despite the challenges, she never saw herself as a victim. She believed women of her era handled things differently. While she acknowledged that men misbehaved, she didn't agree with how the hashtag #MeToo movement exposed them publicly. She preferred private resolutions and was skeptical of media trials. Her comments divided people. Some praised her for offering a different perspective. Others felt she was dismissing the struggles of women who spoke out. Whether people agreed or not, one thing was clear: Angie Dickinson was still as bold and unfiltered as ever. Now, at 93, she lives quietly in Beverly Hills. She remains independent, choosing to live alone while staying active. She credits her longevity to simple habits: a mostly vegetarian diet, plenty of gardening, and getting 8 hours of sleep every night. But beyond health, she values wisdom. She has shared a few life lessons over the years, saying, "Never miss a sunset if it's possible. Be kind when you want to swear, and stop talking when you've said enough." She has also faced deep personal loss. Her daughter Nikki, born in 1966, struggled with Asperger's syndrome and severe vision impairment. In 2007, Nikki took her own life at just 40 years old. Dickinson has spoken about the heartbreak of losing her only child. She keeps Nikki's memory alive in quiet ways, reflecting on their time together. Though she retired from acting in 2009, she occasionally gives interviews. She enjoys looking back on her career and the friendships she built with legends like John Wayne and Dean Martin. She takes pride in balancing beauty with talent, something few actresses achieved in her time. Even when she described her years on Policewoman as slave labor, she remained grateful for the opportunities that shaped her career. Her influence on Hollywood was cemented on September 10, 1987, when she received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame at 7000 Hollywood Boulevard. By then, she had built an impressive career with over 50 film credits, including Rio Bravo, Ocean's 11, and Dressed to Kill. But it was Policewoman that truly made history. She was the first woman to lead an hour-long TV drama successfully, paving the way for future actresses